Hey friends, welcome to today's video. Today we're doing a full face of Jane Iredale makeup. They are having their spring sale event right now. It's 20% off site-wide. I just recently uploaded a video not too long ago about their mineral pressed foundation powder, and I thought I would elaborate on that video and share kind of a full face and share my top picks and recommendations, products that I've really grown to love over the last 6 months or so since I've been diving into this brand more deeply. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do a full face and then I'm gonna call out my favorite products as we use them. So I do want to say that I've already primed my skin. I used the Smooth Affair Brightening Primer because I am going to be going in with the Mineral Pressed Foundation, and these two pair really well together. This is, you know, like a primer that's going to keep your foundation on all day. It's going to blur the skin. It's also very hydrating, so it's great when you pair it with a foundation powder. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the pressed mineral powder on top of this, and I'm gonna use the BK Beauty 104. I'm gonna load the side of the brush up and I'm just gonna press it into the skin on the center of the face. A brush like this is gonna give you kind of lighter coverage than say a more dense buffing brush, but if you want to get the most coverage from a brush like this, you'll do it in this way. You'll press versus sweeping or dusting, okay? So I'm gonna try and kind of go in here and build coverage with this brush. I just had a BBL and an RF microneedling treatment done yesterday, and my skin always gets a little dry like the first, I would say, week after having one of those. But I loaded up my hydration this morning with my moisturizer, and this primer really does help the powder foundation go on more natural so it doesn't emphasize any dryness I'm experiencing. Oh, this looks so good. Before we move on, I do want to call out one product that I highly recommend that I didn't have a chance to apply. It's the Hydro Pure Serum. This is a new product to the brand. It just launched, I think, within the last several months. I love this product. This one really knocked my socks off, as I say, because it was a product I didn't really, I don't really use products like this. How do I put it nicely? I've never really been a fan of products like this. So when I first applied it, it was one of those things where I was not only pleasantly surprised, but I was actually like pretty shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this product. This is like a skincare and complexion hybrid. It has pigments in it, so it's gonna even out the skin tone. It gives a little bit of coverage. Actually, I think it gives more coverage than typical products like this. I can wear this by itself with a little concealer and I can be good to go. You can also pair this underneath the foundation. It has hyaluronic acid in it and CoQ10, so it's really gonna help support hydration in the skin and just give a really nice, like, soft radiance to the skin. It's really, really beautiful. So I wanted to call this out as a product I would recommend to pick up. Okay, so let's move on to concealer. Now, in my foundation video, I actually used the powder foundation as my concealer. Today, we're gonna use one of their little concealers in these pots. So they have two shades here. Let me show you what they have. So they have a lighter shade, and then they have a deeper shade. Now, this is really good for color correcting. And sometimes it's nice to have two concealer shades, like, because we're not really the same shade on the face that we are underneath the eyes. Typically there's darkness under the eyes where the face is, you know, you don't deal with that. It's nice to have two concealer shades sometimes, or to color correct. In this case, I have this one here that has more of a peachy undertone and a lighter concealer, so you could use this as a color corrector and then go and brighten with the concealer. I'm actually gonna go in with this one here. This is the shade Circle Delete 2, and then this is Circle Delete 1. So let me show you the two comparison so you can look at the shades. Delete 2 has more of a peachy color corrector. This one has more of a golden tone to it. And I'm just gonna use my finger. I'm gonna go first in with the peachy shade, and we're gonna apply this underneath the eye. When you are looking to cancel and neutralize darkness under the eye, you wanna look for something with some peach or some orange to it, depending on, you know, how dark or light your skin tone is, because it's an opposite color to blue on the color wheel, which, you know, maybe we don't have blue under eyes, but typically we have darkness or veining there, which has tints of blue. So the peach cancels and neutralizes that out. Okay, so this concealer is very hydrating. It's on the lighter side, but it gives pretty good coverage. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, I'm gonna go in with the lighter shade to just kind of brighten up the inner corner a little bit, but this shade is a little light for me, so I'm not gonna apply much. And I'm actually gonna go back in and mix it with the peachy to deepen it a little bit. So this concealer is very hydrating. This is my first time to use it, so I'm gonna keep you guys posted on how I like it. It's light, like it feels very light in texture, but it actually gives pretty good coverage. And it blends into the mineral pressed powder really well. Okay, that's a little light. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take some of the powder and I'm gonna set underneath the eye to kind of blend those two together a little better. Oh yeah, that's better. Before we move on to the rest of the makeup, I wanna do this step because I don't wanna forget at the end. I'm gonna spray and set everything with the Pumice spray. This is a hydration setting spray, and it pairs really well with the pressed foundation. So just gonna do 3 spritz of that, kind of let that set the product. It's gonna help the powder look really natural on the skin and just give a little like hydration seal to the foundation. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with the Pure Brow pencil. This is the shade Neutral Blonde. So this is what the tip looks like. It reminds me of the kind of pencils that I like to use, which are thicker. They have a triangular shape to them, so you can use the tip to create more hair-like strokes, and then you can turn it on its side to get a thicker line. I used to get my brows microbladed, but it's been several years since I've done that. So I kind of have to go in here and fill in a little better. Ooh, this pencil is really nice. It's a nice color, good color for me, and it's nice and creamy. So it's transferring to the skin really easily, but soft still. With brow pencils, I feel like there's that perfect texture and consistency you're looking for. You don't want it to be too dry. You need it to be creamy so that it'll go from the product to the skin, but you want it to be soft enough to where you can control and create a natural brow if you want, or apply a little more pressure to get something a little stronger. Back to my microblading. My brow hair doesn't really grow. I use serums and that definitely helps, but my brows and my lashes don't really grow that much. And I don't know if this is true, so I'm sure people will correct me in the comments, but microblading might damage the hair follicle. Or it could, who knows. For that reason, I just kind of backed off a little bit because I'm like, I'll just draw it in. That is actually like a perfect color for me. Again, it's Neutral Blonde. So I'm gonna go back in with the spoolie and kind of just brush the hairs up a little bit. It'll also soften the brow a little, make it a little softer, a little more natural. Although that looked really good, I don't feel like I needed to make it more natural. This blush is a product that I would add to your list if you're shopping the sale. It is their Pure Pressed blush and it's the shade Barely Rose. This was one of the first products that I picked up. I bought this when I bought the foundation, and this was a powder blush that blew me away. I've really been on this cream blush kick for, I don't know, the last year or so, maybe longer. But this powder blush is so soft and it doesn't have any shimmer to it, but when I apply it on the skin, it gives like the softest, most subtle sheen. So it doesn't look flat or too matte. It's really beautiful, and the color is just like the perfect peachy pink shade, great for every day. I'm gonna go in with a smaller blush brush, start at the apples of the cheek and sweep my way back and up. It's such a pretty color. I keep meaning to pick this up in other shades. The formula is really nice, so whether you pick this shade up or this shade maybe doesn't work for your skin tone or you prefer different shades, the formula is really nice. Do you see that like sheen that it gives? And it's a matte blush. It's so beautiful. It also smooths and blurs out texture on the skin. It's so pretty. And this is a good shade that will work for people that are more fair than me or even a little deeper than me because it's buildable. When I first apply it, it's really light, but then when I go in with a couple of layers, I get the amount that I want. I may have gone a little too heavy with this. Let's go back with our brush and kind of soften everything. Oh, that's so pretty. Is that not so beautiful? So the skin is perfected. Let's move on to eyes. For eyes, we're gonna work with the Storm Chaser palette. This was a product that I picked up on my first shopping trip with Jane Iredale, and I loved it. This wouldn't, and I mentioned this in that video, but when I looked at this color scheme, it wasn't something that made a whole lot of sense to me. I was like, I don't know if I would use all those colors, but these actually look so beautiful together, and every time I wear this, people ask me what is on my eyes. So you get 6 shades, and you get a variety of shimmer and mattes. You get some that have a lot more sparkle, and then others that are more like a nice pretty shimmer. You have a black in there that you can use for eyeliner. You can also use it to deepen up any outer corner. I don't use black eyeshadow too much. If I do, it's typically for liner. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in first with the matte, kind of warm pinky brown shade here. This is gonna create some definition in the crease. And I'm using a large fluffy crease brush because I want this shade to be real soft, very diffused. I'm just gonna work this back and forth into the crease. Okay, so you can see I've created some definition. When it goes on my skin, it actually is like more of a plummy brown. It's really beautiful. What I like about this shade and their formula in general is they're all so buildable. So you can get a really light application if you just want to do a sheer layer. Do you see the difference between the two? But then if you want to go back, you can build it to get some more depth. So it almost looks like 2 different colors, but it's really just building the same color. Or using a brush in a different way. Like if I were to use a smaller, denser brush, I would pick up this amount initially on the first round. So there's a lot of versatility. When I first started talking about the brand on my channel, there were so many of you that commented that you've been using the brand for years and you love them. And I definitely had used Jane Iredale in the past. Like, it's been probably years though. And one of my really good friends who I used to actually work with at MAC, she was a trainer, she loves Jane Iredale. She discovered it a few years ago, and she worked at a med spa, and they only carried Jane Iredale in their med spa. And I remember her just like coming over and like just raving about the brand. I actually think we filmed a video together where she was talking about how much she loves it. Okay, so now that I've built up the crease, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna apply color on my lid. I'm gonna go in with this rosy pink shimmery shade, and this shade looks really pink in the palette. When it goes on the skin, it's a little bit lighter on me. I'm gonna use the 209 brush. It's a tiny little shader brush, so this brush is really gonna pick up and pack on a lot of product, and it's gonna control where I apply it because it's very small. So I'm gonna take the side of the brush, load it up, and we're just gonna go and lay that down. This has like really soft flecks of champagne shade, so when the light hits it, that's why it looks a little bit lighter than it does in the palette. I think those two shades together are so complementary. That brown almost turns like a slate kind of color on the, when you pair it next to the pink. It's like this really pretty taupey slate color. It's so beautiful. Okay, so I'm really loving the way everything is looking. Like, I just cannot get over this glow right here from that blush. Isn't that bizarre? Like, I just used a matte bronzer and a matte blush, but I have this really pretty glow happening. For liner, I'm using a new product. So I haven't tested this yet. I'm excited to try it. It's the Mystical Eyeliner in Dark Topaz. And this really was interesting to me because it's like a little gel eyeliner. It has a little gel eyeliner pot, and then it has a brush on the lid that you use. Let me show you. So we are gonna test this out. The color is a really beautiful chocolatey brown. It looks like it has some shimmer to it. I'm gonna load up the brush by kind of loading up both sides of it. So I got it pretty loaded. I'm gonna use the side of my hand and just kind of stamp the side just so I don't have too much excess product when I go in. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the tip of this brush. You can also lay it on its side like that. You wanna just find a way to create a real nice even line. So when I'm doing gel liner, what I recommend is just looking down in the mirror, start in the center of your lash line. And the reason why is because you can get a thicker line in the center and the outer corner of your lashes. But typically if you go too thick in the inner corner, a lot of us, that'll just kind of block off that inner corner and cover up the whole lid. So if you're going to have any mess ups, I should say, where you get a little thicker than you wanted to, it's best to have them on the outer half of the eye. Okay, this color is beautiful. It's a really, really beautiful bronzy shimmery shade. It almost reminds me of my Amber Haze from Charlotte Tilbury, the eye crayon that I love. It reminds me of that color, but just a little deeper. When I get here to the inner corner, then I'll kind of close my eye so I can just get really close to that lash. This is so easy to apply. And I'm gonna thicken it up a little bit right here. Okay, that's beautiful. I like that you can get a really fine eyeliner with this. You can get a really fine eyeliner. Like I just had to like actually build it to get it thicker. I typically don't use applicators that come with product, but I did wanna test this out, and this one's really good. It really holds its shape. It doesn't fray out. You can have a lot of control and get a nice thin line. And then if you want something thicker, you can build it. You could of course always use your favorite eyeliner brush as well. I love using the BK Beauty 208 brush for this technique. My lower lash line, I'm gonna go back into the palette and I'm gonna mix the shade we used in my crease, and I'm gonna mix this purple shade to give a little extra color underneath the eye. And I'm gonna use the A504 brush. This is what looks like a tiny little crease brush, but it has a nice level of density to it, so you can use it on the lower lash line. Let's go in first with the brown. Softly sweep that on the lower lash line. So this brush worked well for that. I don't want the purple to be this diffused. I want to have more control over the purple, so I'm going to switch brushes. So now I'm going in with the 210 brush. It's just this tiny little pointed pencil brush. We're going to go into that purple, and we're going to concentrate this and keep it right on that outer half of the lower lash line. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with this white shade. This is a really white shimmery shade. Typically, I don't use shades this white and frosty, but I'm gonna use the 211 crease brush to softly apply this just in the inner corner of the eye to give a little bit of a light. Very, very light pressure. I don't wanna apply too much of this product. I want it to be the most like subtle little bit of highlight. And I'm gonna take a little bit of it and kind of just place it right over that pink in the inner corner. Super soft. Okay, did you see what that did? It just gave some lightness to the look. Next, we're gonna go in and build our lash. I got the lash primer from Jane Iredale and their mascara. So I'm so excited to try these products. This is the Pure Lash Lash Extender and Conditioner. If you use a lash primer, definitely look for one that has conditioning agents that's actually going to help improve the health of your lashes and not just make your mascara look longer and thicker. So I did a couple layers of that. That's a nice sheer lighter application. I'm going to go in with the Longest Lash Mascara. Let's take a look at this. Ooh, nice full soft mascara wand. So I'm going to place it right at the root of my lashes. I'm going to wiggle back and forth and pull up. Once I have most of that product off the wand, then I will start to pull up. Okay, this is nice. This gives a really nice, natural, soft, wispy lash. This definitely gives more of a natural, wispy, kind of fanned out, separated lash look. Okay, let's move on to lips. So I'm gonna blot my lips. I had a little bit of clear lip plumper on. I'm gonna go in with the Lip Stain in the shade Muse. This is a really pretty, kind of medium level, rosy pink shade. Kind of like your lips, just enhanced a little better. Very lightweight. I'll do a second layer. Kind of let that set for a second. So this is like a liquid lipstick, super lightweight though. It almost feels like nothing on the lips. It's very comfortable. It does dry down and set, but it's a very comfortable matte finish. And it's a good color, you know? You could wear this with a like soft eye, or even if you had more of a dramatic eye, you could wear it with that. It's not too light and it's not too dark. It's like that good, safe middle range. Now that the lip stain has set, I want to add a little gloss to it. I'm going to go in with the shade Summer Peach. It's just a nice, really soft, champagne-y peach shade with some shimmer. And I'm going to apply it right in the center of the lip. This lip gloss is a thinner formula. It's not a thicker, sticky gloss. So this is the finished look. I kind of separated my top products from everything that we used today that I wanted to share just to recap the video. So first and foremost, the Hydro Pure Serum. I absolutely love this product. It is so stunning and beautiful on the skin. It is very natural. It'll even your complexion and give a like slight enhancement to your complexion, but so natural. So you can wear this alone with a little concealer and it'll look super natural, or you can wear it underneath foundation as well if you want to maybe not wear as much foundation. You can apply this first and it'll minimize the amount of foundation that you have to use. It's just so beautiful. It's described as giving a radiant glow to the skin. I feel like it gives me kind of a radiant matte finish. When light hits my face, it reflects it really beautifully. I love this product. It is beautiful. I'm the shade Light 2. The shades are pretty flexible since the pigment is more sheer. Then going into the Mineral Pressed Foundation. I mean, this is where it all started for me, and I was really surprised about that because it's a powder foundation, and I have veered away from powder foundations for the last 10 years or so, but it is absolutely beautiful, especially when you pair it with the primer and the Palm Mist spray. This combo together, it gives you the look of almost like a radiant matte finish liquid foundation. It gives you that look, but it's powder, so it makes it easier to apply. It's also more versatile because depending on the brush that you use, you can get a lighter coverage, or you can use a sponge and get a full coverage. You can also use it to set foundation. Like if you're using a liquid foundation, you want extra coverage, but just be careful with that because it is a foundation. So if you do that, make sure you're using like a big fluffy soft brush and you're just applying the lightest layer. This is not a setting powder, you guys. This is a foundation. So I just want to say that if you're putting it on top of a foundation, just imagine like putting liquid foundation on and then later going and putting more liquid foundation on. It's kind of the same thing. These three together, this system is just beautiful. Let's talk about the blush. I have to throw in the blush, the Barely Rose powder blush. I love the color. I love the formula. I love the finish. I don't know how I'm getting this glow right now with it being a powder blush, but it is really beautiful. It's a great everyday staple blush to have in your collection. Okay, and then the Storm Chaser eye palette. This is one that I've been raving about for a while. They definitely have other shade ranges or color schemes if this isn't for you, but the formulas of this are really nice, and I actually really love this combo. I really do. It wouldn't be one that I would go pick up. I think this was actually recommended to me when I was in there shopping last year. And the rep was just so knowledgeable and so passionate about what he does. I trusted him entirely. And he recommended the powder foundation to me, which I wouldn't have picked up. And he recommended this, which I wouldn't have picked up. And I absolutely love them both. So I wanted to recommend that. They also have a mini palette. It's about this size. I couldn't find mine. I packed it for a trip and I need to find it somewhere, but they have a series of palettes that are about this size and they have 3 little shadows in them. And I got one of them in the most neutral one possible. I will find it and I'll link it down below and share the name of it. But those are really great travel palettes. Or if you are someone who really just doesn't want to fuss with a lot of makeup, or your 6 shades is not, is too much for you, check out those little mini ones because those are really a really great buy. This eyeliner I really love. The Mystical eyeliner in Dark Topaz. Love the shade, love the formula, very easy to apply, even with the applicator that comes with. I'm sold. I love this. And the brow pencil, I was really, really impressed with the brow pencil. So I will definitely keep this on my vanity and continue to use this every day. I have a handful of brow pencils that are kind of my favorite go-tos that I just can rely on. I don't like too strong of a brow, but I don't have a lot of brow, so I really do have to create a brow. And it's really difficult to find like that right in the middle. Some brow products don't give enough color payoff, and then some are just too much, too creamy. This is that middle of the road, which I really love. So if you are in that lane and that's what you like, this is really good. Okay, so I hope that gives you some helpful information when shopping the spring sale event with Jane Iredale. I'll have the products and all the shades that I used listed and linked in the description box for you. Thank you for hanging out with me. I know this video ran a little bit longer, but I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys today and getting ready. Leave me all your questions and comments down below. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.